Hello. Hey everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. I'm Axel from Get Speaking English. And we're going to do a crossword. So lately I've been doing these coffee and crossword streams. I know today I wasn't supposed to officially do one, but I thought I would pop on, give it a go. Pop online, that is. Give it a go. And yeah, so feel free to join in. This is a bit of an interactive activity, or at least is intended to be a bit of an interactive activity. So feel free to say hello in the chat. I'm currently on Facebook right now. I have Twitch open, so I can see the Twitch chat as well. And actually, it's on YouTube as well, because I thought it would be great to start building a playlist of these, so you will be able to easily review them after I do them. So that's open as well. So I suppose you can participate in either one of those three places. Most people have been participating on Facebook, but it's all there. So yeah, so feel free to say hello and chime in as I go through this crossword. Okay, so I know that some crosswords rely on a lot of knowledge about pop culture and trivia and things like that. The one that we're going to look at today, most of the clues and everything is about language. So we're going to be doing one of those today. What's going to happen is I'm going to walk us through this. I'm going to try to guide us to the answers. We're going to look at, one question at a time, sort of. I'll walk us through it. I'm going to direct the conversation. I'll give alternative clues and hints and things like that, images, stuff like that, as needed, so we can all arrive at the answer together. And yeah, like I said, you'll be able to participate in the chat. And we'll go from there. I do have a few rules, however. So, my first rule is no cheating, okay? I know that we can go online, we can easily Google some of these answers, things like that, but we're gonna try it without the internet. I think we are good enough to do this without needing to resort to the internet. So please don't go look things up online. Let's just try to figure it out together. I will let you know if we need the internet or not, okay? But I think we should be okay. Also, please don't ruin it for others. Please don't, go ahead and start shouting out answers to other questions and things like that that we haven't worked on yet, or things like that. Or, don't look up answers and throw them out and stuff like that. So yeah, so don't spoil it, don't ruin it for others. And lastly too, please be nice to one another, okay? So, let's be kind in the chat. I don't want any fighting or anything like that. So let's keep it civil, let's be friendly to one another, and be nice. Also, there's some important things to keep in mind specifically about this crossword, okay? So specifically about this crossword, like I said, a lot of the clues are about words, about language, things like that. So we shouldn't need a lot of knowledge about trivia, okay? So yeah, so we won't need a lot of knowledge about trivia. We're just gonna focus on language. Also, this is an American crossword, okay? So, and because it's an American crossword, we are going to be using American spelling. So, for example, we would spell, color with an O-R, whereas in British English, we would spell it C-O-L-O-U-R. Also in Canada, I'm in Canada, we also spell it that way. We use British spelling as well. So, yeah, so C-O-L-O-R instead of C-O-L-O-U-R. They also use I-Z-E in words like realize, for example. So we would spell realize with a Z, whereas in British English, they would spell it with an S. Okay, so we are going to use this style of spelling. Also, words like center, for example, they're going to end in ER, whereas in British English, they would end in RE. So those sort of things are important to keep in mind here as we are going through. Also, too, because it is an American crossword, some of the trivia is about American geography, American history, and things like that. But it won't be that important for us to know, so we'll be fine. Also, usually the answers are the same form of the word that's in the clue. So what do I mean by that? So if in the clue there is a plural, like we can see here, for example, ship staffs, we know that the answer is going to be a plural noun as well, okay? So we can almost even put an S there. We know it's going to be there. So those are always going to match. If there's an ing form of a verb, for example, in the clue, there'll probably be the ing form of the verb in the answer. Or if it's a past form, there'll be a past form in the answer, okay? Also, another important thing to keep in mind, some answers will be short phrases. So we can use multiple word answers in this crossword. That is allowed. So some of these answers will be phrasal verbs, for example, or small idiomatic expressions or little common phrases. So we're allowed to use those words here as well. And also, just as a final little reminder, some of this vocabulary, some of the phrases that will be in this crossword, they're going to be useless to you, okay? So there's definitely, you know, words and phrases, names and things like that that get used often in crosswords that we don't actually use in real life. So I will attempt to point out if something is really useless. But hopefully everything will be great. So just as a reminder, everybody is more than welcome to participate in the chat as I go through. So I'm going to walk us through these ideas, or I will walk us through the questions. I will give us hints or clues about how to get to the answer. So feel free to put your ideas, put your answers in the chat, and we will go from there, okay? All right. So let's just get right into it then. And I'm just changing my screens here really quickly. Okay. So let's look at this first one really quickly. All right. So we have Return of the Jedi villain. So a villain, just so we're on the same page, a villain, that's a bad guy, the bad guy, basically. All right, so what are the bad guys? An evildoer. So those are the villains, okay? So we need the name of one of the bad guys, one of the evildoers in Return of the Jedi, and also resume listings. Okay, so we want to think about types of things that you would put on your resume. And a resume is basically that, it's basically a list of your job history, for example, your qualifications, maybe your education. Can you think of other things that we might also list on our resume? Perfect. You're from Bangladesh. Fantastic. Yeah. So you're more than welcome to throw out your ideas. If you could think of a couple other things that we would put on our resumes. You might also put down your skills, for example, right? Maybe also your references. So if you don't know your references, these are people who your employer can call to basically ask how you are and verify your information, things like that. So people the employer can call who can, we'll say, speak on your behalf and basically say that you're a wonderful, confirm that you're a wonderful employee. All right, so those would be references, and usually they would call references, right? So that's definitely something that you also might list on your resume, or at least it's common to say, you know, references, what do they say? References available by request or something like that. So yeah, so that's really common. But I think here we're looking for a 3-letter word, right? And we can see that it's a plural. I think this word is going to be jobs. So our job history, right? The list of your former employers, rather. So that would be something that you would put on your resume. Okay, fantastic. So again, feel free to throw out your ideas if you think that you know something. It'd be really great. Okay, so a porpoise's place, a porpoise. I'm going to get an image of a porpoise. Do any of you know what a porpoise is? Have you heard of this word before? It's an animal. I will give you that hint. So if you know what a porpoise is, feel free to let me know, or have a guess at least, or take a guess. All right. Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking for people to practice with, I have some Telegram groups that are filled with people, and sometimes they are available for to practice with other people. So you are more than welcome to pop in there and see if other people might be interested in practicing. And also too, I'm just available for lessons or conversational classes. So right now I'm doing a series of conversational classes about sustainability. So that is also a possibility as well. But going back to our task here. So a porpoise is a marine animal. You can see one here. It's very similar to a dolphin, right? Very similar. So they are very closely related. Dolphins and porpoises, very closely related to one another. And they live in a we're talking about a place. So a place, a location where a porpoise might live, or where a dolphin might live. And we can see that it starts with the letter O, right? So obviously we know that it's not going to be a lake, for example, or a pond, or even a river. They tend to live, or at least from what I know, they live in salt water locations. Oops. Okay, so they're not freshwater animals, but they are saltwater marine animals. And I think this answer is going to be ocean. So they live in the ocean. All right, perfect. Okay. And then we have plot unit. So plot unit, what else is here? Borscht A borscht veggie. Okay. All right, so let's talk about plots for really, really quickly. So there's a couple different meanings for the word plot. Probably the most common one you might know would be the plot of a story, right? Or plot of a novel. So basically what happens in that novel or that story, right? But here we are actually talking about something completely different. We're talking about houses. So, let me see if I can get a picture. So when you buy a house, you usually don't just buy just the house, you also buy the land around the house. Okay? So you usually buy the land around the house. Let me see. Get a picture. See, I'm trying to get a good picture. So you would have the little region around the house. Okay, I think I found a decent picture. Okay. So here we can see it's almost like a little subdivision of houses, or like they're kind of at the end of this little row, right? And we have a house, house over here. We have a house here, little house here, little house here, and they all come on like a little area of land. Okay, so if you were to buy one of these houses, you wouldn't just buy the house, but you would also usually buy that little area of land. Okay, and that is a plot. That's what we call a plot. So you would buy a house on a plot of land. And then there is a word that we would use to describe the area. So to describe the area or how big that plot is, we're looking for a unit of measurement here. So there's a word to describe the area and how large it is. A unit of measurement we want. Yeah. So let's see here. So A or something. C. Yeah. Any guesses? So maybe meters. I mean, that's a unit of measurement, right? Or a foot. But obviously it's a big unit of measurement, or a larger one, right? So see if you might know it. Yeah. So we got garden. We would call this, this area with the grass, we would call this the yard. That's usually what we would call it. So this is like the front yard. There's like a backyard. Some people might call it a garden, but here, at least here, it's more common to call it a yard. So front yard, backyard. This word, this is going to be acre. Usually land, when we measure land, we measure it in acres. So that is the most common unit of measurement when we are measuring large areas of land. All right, so that's going to be acre. And then we have a borscht veggie. So veggie, we know, is short for vegetable, right? And then borscht is a very specific, the type of, it's almost like a soup. And I'm gonna show you a picture. I'm gonna show you the color of this and see if you can guess what the key ingredient is in this. Has a very distinct color. Here we go. So here's borscht. That's very, very distinct red color, specifically from this veggie here, this vegetable. So something, something. Any guesses what you think that vegetable might be? It's definitely a very like distinct color. Also, not a lot of people don't necessarily like this vegetable, so I don't know if that helps. It's a vegetable that grows in the ground. It's like a root vegetable with a very distinct red color. All right, I'm gonna get us a picture and see if we can, if anybody knows the name of it. So here they are, picked from the ground. Actually, I feel like whenever I see them, they look more like this. When they come into the garden, there they are. And it's this part, this lower part, the root, that you cook, and it goes into this dish. So this is a beet, or beetle root. People might call it as well, but most people just call it a beet. So beet. Beets are responsible for making this soup, this dish. It gives it its red color. So yeah. So there we go. We've got some beets. And we can see here, yeah, so ready to go. If you're all set to go, you are ready to go. All right, we got that one. All right, let's see what else we have up here. So we have a sheep sound. So the sound that sheep make. And a short sock. Okay, so a sheep, does anybody know what a sheep makes? What sound it makes? Very literally. I gotta get us a picture of a sheep so we are all on the same page. Here's a flock of sheep. And they all have a very distinct sound that they make. Any guesses? Any ideas? What is it? So cows go moo, for example. Say that pigs oink. Horses neigh. Ducks quack. Birds chirp. Cats meow. This is gonna ba. They ba. Ba. It might be this. I think it's this though, because this has to be like a word. So, yeah, so they ba, or they bleat. Might also say that as well. Oops. I think that's how they spell it. Yeah, they bleat. That noise. Anyways, yeah. All right. And it looks like this is like Jabba the Hutt. Okay. And then we have a very short sock. So a very short sock. Let's see. What do we know about socks? I think this word is also similar to the name of a body part. So part of the foot. That helps. I know we have a lot of different types of socks. You know, you have like the really long ones. You have like knee socks, for example. They come all the way up the knee. And then we kind of have like the little ones. They're kind of like, they're short, you can see, right? And they only kind of cover up until this area, up to this area. And that kind of gives us a hint about what this sock might be called. So any guesses? So you have some toes, right? We have the ball of the foot. That's that portion here, the ball of the foot. We have the sole of the foot, the bottom of the foot, the sole of the foot. We have the heel here. We have the heel, and then we have the ankle, right? So ankle, I think this word might be anklet. An anklet, we'll try that. Not 100% sure, but I think this is going to be close. So an anklet or ankle sock. These are ankle socks. Let's give that a go. All right. So riot of movies. I'm not a big pop culture person, so was a pioneer. Was a pioneer. Does anybody know what a pioneer is? A pioneer is kind of, it's usually the first person to do something. Very first person to do something. So pioneer, yeah. The very first person to do something. Right? So they are not behind people, but they are in front of people, basically, right? And we could see here that we have the past form of the verb here, right? So we have was here. So if it's going to be the past form here, we're going to use the past form here of a verb. So was a pioneer. So if they were the very first person to do something, you wouldn't be, you know, behind. You would be in front of people. So, almost like if we like think about, you know, we could think about maybe runners, for example. We have people who are, you know, they're all moving into the same direction, right? We have this person here. They are the front of the pack. They are, you know, they're not behind, right? But we might say that they are in the lead, right? So they are in the lead, right? So, yeah, so I think this word is going to be led. So they were a pioneer. They were the first people in line. They were ahead of everybody else. They led whatever they were doing because they were the first people to do it, right? So I think this is going to be led. The past form of lead. So lead, led, led. Past participle. Yeah. Okay. So we got that one. Let's see what else here. So #1 hit for Beyonce. Do we have any Beyonce fans in here? I don't listen to a lot of Beyonce. But if you know this, feel free to call it out. Let's see. And we have Ryan of movies. Gambling Mecca. Gambling Mecca. So to gamble, usually means to risk money or something like that on winning something. You might so some examples of some gambling games might be like poker, for example. Poker or blackjack. You might gamble, you could bet on horses, like who would win a race, for example, or you know, they had that boxing match the other day. I'm sure people were betting on that, for example. So all of those are examples of gambling. And a mecca is kind of like this key, very important place for something. So an extremely popular place where we might gamble in the US, since this is an American crossword. So you probably, if you want to go like a place with a lot of casinos, where you would gamble and things like that, I think this is going to be Vegas. And let me know in the comments if you've ever been in Vegas or if you've ever been to Vegas. So, yeah, but I think this is going to be Vegas. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. Let's try it. Okay, and I think this is Meg Ryan. Okay. So we have ship staffs. So I'm gonna show you a picture of a ship. And a staff is another one of those, one of the name of for the poles that the sails are tied to. Oh, I'm just gonna picture here. I'm gonna show you a very old picture of a sort of a sailing ship. And actually where I live, so I live right by the ocean, and in this town is very famous for shipbuilding and things like that. So there are a lot of these kinds of ships around. So ones like that. But we can see here, like, so these the very long poles. So we could call them a staff, kind of, or a spar. But there's a better word for these really big ones. So does anybody know what that might be? And it starts with an M. I will give you a hint. Does anybody know what the big poles are called? All right, so these are called masts. So the really large poles, or the really large staffs, they're gonna be masts. So I think there's that. And I don't expect anybody really to know what this might be. But if you're on a ship or an airplane as well, I suppose, and you're traveling and maybe you have some sort of issue, some sort of emergency come up, you might send out a distress signal. So maybe you might send out an SOS, for example, to indicate that you are having problems. Maybe you need to be rescued or something. But we might also send a call saying Mayday. So I think that that's what this is going to be. Mayday. It's a very common call, similar to SOS, to say that we're in trouble. Mayday, Mayday, help me. That sort of thing. Okay. So we have Houston player, a braying beast. Put away. Let's see here. Tie the knot. All right, tie the knot. Any guesses about what this is? Have you heard this before? To tie the knot? It's a very common idiom that refers to a very special moment in somebody's life. Basically when a couple decides that they officially want to stay together, they have a really big celebration. So they would have a really big celebration, all the family would come out, things like that. Yeah, they would, and then they would decide that they want to start a marriage together. So, and be married to one another. So there is a specific name, obviously, that we call that celebration, right? We call it a wedding. But then we might also use this as, there's a verb that we could use this as what we can use for this as well. So this answer here, I think, is whatever that verb is going to be. And I will give you a hint. It's going to start with a W as well. Let's see if anybody can guess what it might be, or if anybody knows what it is. So I think this is going to be wed. Wed. All right. Yeah, so you would wed, they would wed, get married. Another way to say get married. Or to tie the knot. All right, great. Now this is interesting. Hawked. Which probably would be something new for a lot of people. If you hawk something, you know what they commonly hawk? They commonly hawk tickets for large events. Usually it's like either you steal something or maybe you buy something for a lower amount and then you basically mark up the price and then other people will pay for it and you make a lot of money off of it. So to hawk something basically means to steal or buy. To steal or buy something at a lower price and then make other people pay higher amounts of money for it. So you would make a lot of money. And like I said, it's really common to do this for concert tickets. And we actually have a very specific name for that person who does this. A scalper. Someone who scalps tickets, we would say that. So they buy the tickets for a low price and then they make other people buy them for a lot higher, for a higher price. So, and we know that this is a past form, right? So I think this word here is sell, right? They sell the items for a large profit. So I think this is one that's going to be sold. Sold. So something was hawked, something was sold, and a lot of money was made. So that's what that one's gonna be. Factual. Something is factual. It's the opposite of a lie, right? I think this one's kind of like it's real, for example. It's not fake, right? think this is gonna be true. So let's put that as true. Let's see what else is here. And you put something away. So a couple, I mean, usually if you put something away, what does it mean? Maybe you're cleaning up or something like that, and you put everything back in the locations where they're supposed to be. So that's kind of one way to think about putting something away, basically to clean up or something like that. But you might also, for example, you might store something. And this verb means to basically put items into storage. Maybe, or like put it somewhere for safekeeping, for example. So yeah, so you might store something. And then there's another verb. Not sure if anybody is going to know it, but also kind of has a very, very similar meaning. You might stow something. So I think this is going to be stow. Basically another way to say to like store something. You know, you would hear this often, this verb you would often hear on the airplane, for example, right? You would always they'll tell you to stow your carry-on luggage in the overhead bin, right? Or stow it under the seat in front of you. So you would put your items in the seat, under the seat in front of you, or you put your items in the overhead bin. So yeah, you would stow your items. So I think that's what we mean here. So that's probably going to be the most common place you hear this word. They'll tell you to stow your luggage. Yeah, so just another way to say put away. That's a good one. And finally, a braying beast, so an animal. So a braying beast. We're talking about the sound that this beast makes. And it's kind of a funny word. So there's, you know, I think most people would know this as a donkey. But there's also another word that we might use to refer to this animal. And it could also be considered a swear word, depending on how you use it, to refer to somebody's behind. So somebody's bum, basically. I think this is going to be ass. You can also call somebody an ass as well if they're not being very nice. But again, that is a swear word. I do not recommend necessarily using that and calling everybody an ass. Don't do that. Oh, okay. Let's see here. So poor sports cry. Little rascal. Status. Game color. Okay. See here, got some flowers. Stop by unannounced. Okay, let's do this one first. So a game caller. So the person who calls a game basically says, you know, whether plays are good or if the goal is good or not, things like that. So someone who calls in a game says whether a play is good or not, right? So in some sports, we have a referee, right? Or short for a ref, right? So that could be this answer here, right? That's a 3-letter word, but actually I think that it's going to be something else. There is one in baseball who will always call whether like something's a foul ball or not, things like that. Does anybody know the name of the caller in baseball? It basically says if something is good or not. He typically stands behind the batter. Usually has like a mask, for example. Here, get a picture. Da-da-da. This guy here. Does anybody know who that is? This is going to be the umpire, or short just for ump. We might call it an ump. I think this might be ump. Okay. Got some showy flowers. We know this is going to be an S. Put it there. Up by. You know, so if you stop by somebody's house, so you stop by somebody's house, it means you go to their house and you go and you see them. So maybe you will talk for a while, or you can catch up on what's happening in each other's lives, things like that. Hello, welcome. It's good to see you. Feel free to throw out your ideas going through this crossword, and I'm giving us clues about what these answers might be. So if you stop by somebody's house, it means that you go to their house and you see them for a little bit. And there's another way that we might talk about that. You're gonna spend some time, if you're gonna see them for a little while. You know, you're gonna visit them for a while. So I think that's gonna be visit. Check that out. Yeah, let's put that there. And then if you are a poor sports cry, so a poor sport is basically a poor sport is basically somebody who is not a good loser. So they don't like to lose. They probably cry and they whine a lot if they lose. If they don't get their own way, they probably create a fuss. They would basically do anything to avoid losing. So there's probably something that they would say, their cry, something they would say if they were losing and they were really frustrated, right? So it's probably going to be, I think, two words here, I think. It's going to be a two words, 2-word phrase. Any ideas? They're probably going to say, I quit. I quit. I give up, basically, right? Yeah, so I quit. They're basically a quitter, right? But yeah, somebody who's a poor sport. They don't like it when they lose. So they would probably quit before they officially lose, or they would make a fuss. So that's what it means to be a poor sport. who's like that. Little common little collocation here. The status. Starts with a Q. And this kind of means it's like a way to say like the sort of like the present, I don't want to say the present situation, but it's like how things currently are, how things presently are. It's like the general present condition that we all kind of live and exist in. Let's see if I can get a good definition. Yeah, it's kind of like refers to the state, like the way things currently are. And not how they could be or how they could be changed and things like that, but just like accepting how life currently is, being okay with that. We would refer to it as like status quo. So status quo. So you may have heard that one before. Yeah. So if you want to maintain the status quo, if you want to maintain the status quo, it means you don't want to change how things are and just keep things going how they are going, basically. You don't want to rock the boat or anything like that. If you rock the boat, for example, you disrupt the status quo, you maybe shake it up a bit. So you don't want to rock the boat. You want everything to stay the same. You want to maintain the status quo, how everything is right now. And I'm gonna do these two really quick. So we have a little rascal. That's gonna be imp. And mums are a type of flower. They're like little petals on them. Get some pictures. Just so we're all on the same page. They're very common in autumn. Or at least here they're common in autumn. Here you go. Here are some mums. They're a very common fall flower here. I guess because they resist the cold kind of well. So speaking about visiting people, we talked about stopping by. There's another way we can refer to this as well. But to stop by unannounced. So to visit unannounced. So to visit somebody unannounced. And we could see it right here. We have part of it. It's going to be a phrasal verb. Any ideas what this preposition is going to be? Not too many options. We're going to pop in to see somebody. So that's going to be pop in. Put that there. In. Cool. And then we have sounds. So we're looking for a synonym for the word sounds, things that we can hear. Starts with an N. Looking to see if there are any other synonyms for the word sound. Because I sure can't really think of any. Any ideas what this one might be? Yeah, we're definitely talking about because there's different words, there's different meanings to the word sound. But here I think we're talking about things that you can hear. So like echoes, for example, ringing, singing, speaking. But I think this word is noises. So noises. So and notice as well too. So noise, singular, right? Is pronounced as noise, but the moment that we add this S onto it, it actually takes on another syllable. So we add an additional syllable. So so I know usually plurals, it's like a blended sound when you add the S to it, but there are a few, like after an S sound, for example, after a CH, watch becomes watches. After an SH sound, like match no, that's not, that's the CH. Wash becomes washes, same deal with same rule with the verb, but yeah, it adds an additional syllable. So that's important to remember. Sometimes I hear people speaking and they're not sure how to say this. So yeah, so this is going to add an additional syllable to it. So that's important. Let's see, a walrus pair. And we have a RBIERA. Okay. So a walrus is an animal. Walrus is an animal, usually lives in cold places where there is a cold climate. It's kind of similar to a seal, if you know what a seal is. But there's something about a walrus that makes it very different from a seal. They have these really, okay, so here are some here are some walruses. They have these very distinctive long teeth that come out of the front, of their mouths that you can see. So they have this pair. Does anybody know what we call these? These teeth? Elephant have these as well. Same word. I get a picture of an elephant as well. Long teeth. So it starts with a T. This is going to be these are called tusks. So walruses have a pair of tusks. And we know that a pair is 2, right? So they have 2 teeth. Same with elephant, they have these 2 large teeth, these tusks. So that's what that's gonna be. So we have a relaxing resort, Mama's Land, a place, line of symmetry. Okay. So a relaxing resort. So a resort is a place that you would go maybe to relax. So we want a place where people would go to relax. You might go to this place to get a massage, for example. Or maybe a facial. And they might have like a lot of different rooms and things like that where you could go. You might get one of those one of those body wraps or whatever with the mud and things like that. And they're usually considered very healthy places, things like that. Let's see if I can't get a good picture. See here. I mean, this one looks kind of nice, I guess. We have some like sort of like thermal, like heated baths and things like that, and some chairs, places for relaxing. And like I said, you might get a massage or like a facial or all sorts of different little treatments that you would get here. We would call this place a spa. So a spa is what this is going to be. So you would go to a spa if you wanted to relax and get a massage, a facial, things like that. And I think I'm just going to put this in here. So these are statistics. So I think this word is stat. I'm gonna put that in here. Stat. We have a line of symmetry. So let's look at something symmetrical, maybe. Let's see. Well, for example, the Earth might. Like, the Earth has one of these. This sort of like this line basically that bisects the Earth, right? That it spins around, right? And it kind of goes right in the middle, right? So there's kind of a word for that. I'm looking for like a good picture here, and I'm not doing a very good, having a hard time finding something. Let's see. And it starts with, okay, wait, I think I know what I'm gonna do. All right. I should like cross out the word. This is labeled. Okay, so here we can see a picture of the Earth. We have, so one line, this is the equator, right? And then the Earth spins around this line that basically divides, like goes right down the middle of the Earth, right? So it's symmetrical on either side, and there is a word for that middle center line. So any ideas what that might be? I'll try to find other pictures as well, but the pictures that are showing up are not good ones. I don't like them. Anyways, it starts with an A, ends with an S. This word, this middle line of symmetry, it is known as an axis. So there we go, axis. This word here is going to be the axis, kind of like that middle thing, where wheels might go around as well too, things like that. But yeah, like the middle, going to be the axis. And if we stand, so to stand here, so if we move from being in a seated position to a standing position, means that, any ideas? We're going to arise. We have a rise. Okay, here we go. All right. I think we're doing okay. I have to go in a little bit. But so inquire. If you inquire about something, you trying to give a clue that doesn't actually have like the answer in the clue. If you inquire about something, you try to get more information about something. So to inquire about something means to get more information about something. And obviously you would do that maybe through questions, right? So this is a very key verb that we would use when we're talking about questions. I think this is going to be ask. We're going to ask. So to inquire about something. This is a synonym for the word ask. There's also enquire as well. So there's a slight difference between these words. So in British English, I believe this one is more common, whereas it's more common to use inquire with the I in American English. So just something to be aware of. So to inquire. We have inquire, American English. And do we have inquire as well? British English. Yeah, they basically have like the same meanings. There's some differences the moment that we start getting into words that are related to this, like a what was it? Anyways, these are the same. I was gonna say something else, I'm not gonna overcomplicate it. Yeah, these are essentially the same words, it's just the spelling depends on the region, basically. But yeah, they both mean to ask. It's just a bit, it's like a more formal way of saying to ask. Okay. I'm just gonna put this in here. Lava's land is gonna be Peru. So we have a cheering cry. Home of the Hobbit. I'm not a trivia person. Sometimes when there are questions in here about cry, it's usually like ole, oops, ole or something. I don't think it is though. Maybe like raw. Let's put raw in here. Put raw here. Okay. Like rah 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 that you might say, like the fans and the stands. Second election. A Man of Steel. Pop star. A lyricist. So a lyricist is somebody who writes lyrics. And yeah, notice the difference of pronunciation there. So we have lyricist, I think. I should double check. Yeah, lyricist. Somebody who writes lyrics. This has a K sound. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah. Lyrics. Basically the words to a song, right? But yeah, so somebody who writes lyrics, somebody who writes songs, basically. And then we have a word for a pop star, so a singer, right? Probably somebody who's really famous, maybe like a celebrity. So a singer, maybe. A celebrity almost. And there's another word that we might use to refer to a somebody who's very famous like this, who's in the public eye a lot and everybody looks up to. Starts with an I. There's also a very popular singing competition, and the name, this word is part of the name. There was, like, for example, American you guys might know this as well. This is gonna be idol. So an idol, somebody you look up to, somebody very famous. There was that TV show, yeah, American Idol. Okay, yeah. We got that. Let's see here. A major criminal. Shrek's love. Let's do the word one. Tell tales. If you tell a tale, a tale is a story, right? A tale is a story, and a tale isn't just any story. Usually a tale, I mean, sometimes they're real, but usually they are made up. All right, so a made-up story. So it is not a real story. So, and we're looking for a verb here. So no S or anything like that. But yeah, if you were to tell made-up stories, what could we say? There's kind of a verb for that. I'll give you guys a second to think about it. It's like the opposite of telling the truth. You could tell the truth. So you could tell this truth, you could tell a real story, right? Or you could tell a tale. You could tell a tale, like a fake story. You could lie. I think this is gonna be lie. So we're gonna tell tales, we're going to lie. So I think that's what that's gonna be. Okay. So Home of the Hobbit, I don't know. I don't do trivia. Let's do this one though, a major criminal. So a criminal is someone who commits a crime. So very good collocation to know, to commit a crime. We say, so somebody who commits a crime. And then we have a specific name for somebody who does a major crime. So a very significant crime, or a very large crime, right? So yeah, very large or significant crime. Yeah, there's a word for that. Obviously, it's not going to be like murderer or something like that. That doesn't really fit. Like a serial killer, for example. They would typically go to prison, for example. Starts with an F. I'll give you like that. I will give you that hint. So it starts with an F. This word, honestly, has been kind of being thrown around a bit, especially since Trump won the election. Because he's won as well. Somebody who did a significant crime. Somebody who's serious of committing a serious crime. Guilty of, yeah, somebody who's guilty of a serious crime is a felon. A felon is gonna be that word. So you might also hear the word felony. Basically the crime. That would be the name of the crime. So felon, accent here, and then felony, the crime. Felon and a felony. Yes. So here we go. This would be that one. Let's see. Another gambling mecca. So lots about gambling here today. So we had Vegas up here. There's another one in the US, another place that you might go. I think it's in the same state as Vegas. Where's Vegas? Yeah, I think they're in the same space. Or in the same state. This is gonna be Reno. I'm just gonna put it here. So we have Reno. Walk like a something. I don't know. Let's see. Shrek's love. Wasn't it Fiona? I think it was Fiona. We know, if you know. I feel like this might be man. Walk like a man, maybe? Do you agree with me? Apparently that's like a famous quote. I don't know what it comes from. But I think this is right, because this is supposed to be also #1 hit for Beyonce. I think this is what, Texas Hold'em? Yeah. I think that's what that looks good. All right, so we're almost done here. That's exciting. So we have Holy Cow, we have Lowly Laborer, Chaotic Spot. Is Spider's home? Let's talk about spiders for a second. So they always weave this thing, right? We would say that they weave this thing. This sort of thing where they live that also traps insects that they eat, right? Does anybody know what that is called? I'm gonna put a picture. Here's one. One of these things that flies and insects would get caught in, and then spider would eat it. This is a spider web. Spider web. So there we go. I got spider web. Recital highlights. Chaotic spot. Writer. I don't do trivia. Let's do this one though. So a recital highlight. So a very important moment in a recital. What the heck is a recital? So a recital is a type of a performance. If you ever learned how to play a musical instrument, you probably, like if you did piano classes, for example, or if you took like violin classes and things like that, usually you will have to, at some point, do a recital. You'll have to do this kind of performance where you basically go, you wait for your turn, and then you go up and then you play in front of the audience. When I did it, so I used to take piano classes as a kid, you would also get, like, there was also an adjudicator who would basically judge how well you played and things like that. So it's this kind of performance, basically like a musical performance. I think also in schools too, this might happen from time to time as well. But yeah, it's usually like a musical, so like a musical performance where people will play their instruments. So a show where people play their instrument for an audience. And it basically, they take turns doing it, right? Like, it's not just, you know, one person plays the entire show. It's more like multiple people will play and they will take turns. Anyways, there are different kinds of songs that you might play. So you might play as part of a group, for example, or maybe you will play a duet. So that's basically a song played by two people. Or maybe a trio. A song played by two people. Or maybe you would just do something by yourself. A song played by yourself. Any ideas what we would call a song played by yourself? We can see it starts with an S. So if you're playing it by yourself, playing it alone. If you do it by yourself, this is called a solo. So I think this is gonna be solo. So we're gonna play a solo. Gonna play something by ourselves. A solo. Great. Holy cow. Yow. Wee or something? If you say holy cow, something really fantastic or something really amazing, or maybe you're really surprised, we might say that. So holy cow. People don't really say that nowadays. Maybe when I was a kid, we'd say holy cow. Not very common. But yeah, it's kind of an exclamation. Something really surprising. Yeah, I don't think that's right. Because we have a lowly laborer. We're talking about, so here, I think they're talking, so a laborer is somebody who does work, obviously. And very hard work. A laborer. Somebody who does hard work. And we have this word here, lowly. So they are kind of unimportant. Okay. So sort of an unimportant person. So who are doing, yeah, unimportant people or things that are doing very hard physical labor, basically, something like that. And this word, this answer actually is also the name of an insect. A very small insect that also labors away, maybe, with many other insects doing like little tasks, like going and fetching food or burrowing in the ground and things like that. They're kind of like little tiny, insignificant. Yeah. So they're not bees. I feel like my description could, with my description, you could think about bees. But actually, they're not bees though. They're, another kind of insect that kind of toils away, that we use sometimes. Then to also refer to kind of people who will toil away and labor away, who are also kind of insignificant and things like that. We might refer to them as ants. So I think this here is a is ant. I suppose you could also think too, like a lowly laborer, so like a laborer on the ground. So this could also be a pun as well. Lots of little puns in here sometimes. Okay, so this is gonna be an ant. And then we have a man of steel. So steel is a type of metal. Oh, what did I do? Did I do something? Oh, okay. Solos. Okay, let's try to type in my notes when I got that wrong. So steel is a type of very strong metal. And I think this is kind of a little bit of a pun as well. There, if we get back to it. Because sometimes, who's a man of steel? Superman is the man of steel, right? Or at least that's what they say, right? Like, he's super strong and things like that. But there might also be another man that we might make out of metal, out of steel. Any ideas about what this might be? A man, a person kind of made out of steel or metal or other kinds of things. My guesses. I think we're talking about one of these. This artificial person, this robot, right? A robot is made out of metal and steel. So this is gonna be robot. So there we go. Got robot. I'm not sure who this is, but I think I know what this is. This is I'm not going to get into this, but a chaotic. So something chaotic is really crazy, really loud, really noisy. Maybe there's a lot of things going on. And then we're talking about a spot. So a location, a place. And I think this one is going to be ado, which is not a very common word at all whatsoever. But an ado is kind of another way to refer to a party, basically, something like that. Though this is not very common, but I think that this is what this is going to be. Maybe? Oh, maybe not. Actually, because this isn't a word. Other places for chaotic places. Oh, okay. We might also, another place, we might also call a chaotic place a zoo as well. I think this is right, actually, because, yeah, we might also say yowza. Yowza is something was surprising. So yowza, something surprising. Holy cow, can't believe that happened. Yowza. And, a zoo. If a place is a zoo, it is really crazy, really noisy. Maybe there's a lot going on. It's chaotic. It's nuts. So there we go. We have a chaotic spot. I think it's gonna be a zoo. Okay, we're almost done. So second election. I'm gonna guess that this name is Ian. I usually guess with names. So you're welcome to confirm that or tell me I'm wrong. And then we have a second election. Second election. So I'm also going to guess what this is, because a bagel shape, a tour. I don't know what this is. I mean, a bagel is usually an oval, right? So you have like that round part. with the hole in the middle. I'm gonna get a picture of a bagel just so we're all on the same page. Oops. So this is a bagel. So we have a bagel. We can see it's kind of this paste. It's not really a pastry. It's like a bread. It's a dough, a bread that's formed into the shape of a circle. There is a hole in the middle. And watch the spelling with this one. So this is bagel, bagel, bagel. Just gonna get the pronunciation. Bagel. I think. I can't spell. I can't spell. Bagel. So we have the word bagel. Because you might get it confused with the word, what is it, beagle? I don't even know how to spell. Because there's a dog. There's a dog with a similar name that I'm going to show. So, bagel, not to be confused with a beagle, just a type of a dog. So, careful with the spelling on that one. Okay. I'm just gonna get it. Here's a beagle. Yes, beagle. The pronunciation. Alright. So, we don't eat beagles, we only eat bagels. Okay. And let's do this really quickly. So, second election. Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know what this is. So I'm just going to guess. This is probably, we can see that there's two words here, right? So we can see it's probably like something off. I'm gonna guess that this word is probably run off or ran off, run off, probably a run off. I'm not familiar with this term whatsoever. Let's see what the dictionary says. Usually if you run off, it means that you go away from someplace very, very quickly. Right? So usually it means to leave someplace very, very quickly, but this is a noun. This is a word for a noun. So I'm just trying to see, like... Oh, okay. So apparently, a runoff is an extra election. So, okay, so a second election. An extra election to decide on a winner because the leading competitors have equal numbers of votes, or because the winner had less than half the number of votes. Okay, so there we go. I learned a new thing. Hello, I do see your chat. I'm just about to wrap up here. But I've been doing these crosswords, so you are more than welcome to hop back on when I do the next one. I'm gonna do the next one tomorrow. I'm gonna finish this one really quick, so we're all done. Yeah, so we have here, we have run off. There we go. Let's give it a go. Hey, we did it. All right. So fantastic, we figured it all out. Great job, everybody who helped on Facebook and whatnot. It's really fantastic. Okay, anyways. I think I said earlier, I didn't say anything earlier, but tomorrow I will be back to do another one of these coffee and crossword streams. It's gonna be happening earlier though, at the normal time. So tomorrow at 1300 UTC, I'm going to be back to do tomorrow's crossword. So you are more than welcome to come and join me for that. We will check it out together. Yeah, come back and help me figure it out. This is a lot of fun when people are sharing their answers and their ideas and things like that. So you're more than welcome to come back. So I'm planning to do this on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 1300 UTC. And then on other days, it's just going to be kind of random. But if you thought that this was interesting, be sure to give it a like, be sure to give me a follow. Be sure to bring your friends. That'd be really fantastic. Yeah. And that's it. Anyways, so I will see you tomorrow then, I suppose. I don't have anything to announce otherwise. But yeah, okay. Anyways, thanks so much for coming out, and I will see you in the next one.